Hello there. How exciting. My name is Helen Harrison and I am recording for my Empowered Marriage podcast. I have not filmed before, but I've been told to get with the times, so that's exactly what I'm doing. So I am recording podcast 43, Ways to Make Marriage Fun Again. So if you've lost a bit of fun, particularly what you've been living the last few months with the world as it is, this podcast, I want it to be light-hearted. That's my intention, and to bring in different ideas of how you can have some fun, because ultimately we all need fun, we all need to laugh, and we all need light-heartedness. So for those of you who don't know me, my business is Power of Change, Counselling and Coaching. I've been in business for 12 years now. I work with individuals and I work with couples. And after the ending of my 30-year marriage/relationship, the Empowered Marriage podcast was born. Who would have guessed? I would never have guessed that that is what I'd be doing. There was just a burn in me. Too many people in unhappy marriages. And I just wanted to, shed some light onto it. So let's just dive in. I'm going to give you ways to make your marriage fun again. So the first thing is, first of all, you do need to prioritise your marriage. You know, when I have couples in for sessions for counselling, marriage counselling or relationship counselling. When I say marriage, I mean relationships. And I ask them the order of importance, and it's quite extraordinary how many people who do put work first, maybe put their partner next and then themselves. And so I sort of get them to perhaps talk a little bit more about that by putting work first. Where are you in that, and where is your partner in that? Now, not everything I say you're going to agree with at all, but I've sort of seen, due to my own life and then the people I work with, the idea is to actually fill your own cup up first, put you first, then your partner, then your work. Because if you're your best version, then you are going to be able to give to your partner. And then you're going to be much more able to then give to your work. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit off track. Prioritising your marriage. So you've got to make it a priority. You have to. If you want a long-term, happy, empowered marriage, you have to make it a priority. Both of you, not just one of you working at it. You both need to. And yeah. Maybe just question yourself if it is a priority to you. So I think another really important point to have more fun in your marriage is actually schedule some time in. You know, our lives are so scheduled, and, you know, dot points at 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30. Where is the spontaneous? Where is, the balance? You know, Esther Perel, I love her work. She talks about in life we want security, but we also want adventure. How do you create that? It's that whole balance. And if you've got a marriage where you can communicate beautifully, you will have security and you'll be able to do adventure because you have the communication skills to be able to bring that in. So schedule time for fun. You did when you were dating. I'm sure you did. However, as you get into child rearing and mortgages and everything else that comes with responsibility, you tend not to see it as important. However, I know when my marriage towards the end, I started recognising I wasn't having fun, and that's a pretty scary place to be in. So schedule some time for fun. Next thing would be, as much as possible, let worry go. And I know easier said than done. And why is it, do you think, that some people, they manage, they may have so much going on, but they're able to park the worry. They're able to be present in their marriage. They're able to make it a priority. Why can some people do that and some other people are not as successful? And that monkey mind is just chatting away. You feel like, you got this monkey on your shoulder, you're just constant worry. That's a really good question. And if I answer that, what would I say? Well, it's recognizing logically, one, that worry achieves absolutely nothing, because worry is fear, and fear makes us feel unsafe. And, when events happen, you will deal with them when they happen. But when we worry, it's the fear of them happening. And gosh, hasn't there been a lot of fear? I know for me, it's constantly coming back to myself, tapping, journaling, meditation, grounding. Anyway, this isn't a podcast on all of this. This is a podcast about fun. So it's just, as much as possible, let your worry go. And if not, listen to some of my other podcasts about how to deal with anxiety and stress. Because if you want to be in a marriage that has fun, it does not cohabitate with stress. It doesn't. That's a bit like in your intimate relationship, your sexual relationship. If you're not able to let go of the worry and the anxiety, it's very, very difficult to be able to be in the energy of pleasure and desire, because that is an energy where you are very present. And when you're in worry, you're not present. So that desire just goes. So, yeah, much as possible, let the worry go. Hugely important. Expect surprises. Wasn't the coronavirus a surprise? I mean, none of us expected that. So in marriage, it's expecting surprises, but then being able to support each other through that. I bet for those of you who are listening, perhaps at times you tag teamed each other. One of you was feeling positive, you were feeling grounded, and you were able to support the other, and then it would flip. And your partner would then support you at times when fear or worry came in. So expect surprises, but then being able to come back to the present and to bring fun in. Another big thing in how to, ways to make your marriage fun would be celebrating along the way. I think celebration is huge. Actually, tomorrow I want to have a bit of a celebration. Tomorrow, I've been in this country for 33 years. I don't know if you can tell from my accent. I'm actually from New Zealand. I have people who tell me I sound like I'm fresh off the plane. Well, I'm not. I've actually been in Australia for 33 years. And this tomorrow, 4th of April, of course, these podcasts are recorded, so you'll be listening to this in May. 4th of April, that's a date that's a beautiful date. I remember, 19 years old, hopping on a plane. I was on an adventure. I was going to Australia, and then I was on my way to England. But of course, I ran out of money in Australia, and the rest is history. But anyway, celebrate along the way. All the little milestones, and it's acknowledging yourself. So, because that's going to bring in fun. Celebration is fun. And what's this podcast about? It's ways to make marriage fun again. So it's celebrating all those little milestones. Another big one is enjoying each other's interests. And, you may have an interest that your partner's not overly interested in. However, your partner encourages and at times does this with you. How's that going to make you feel? It's going to make you feel like you are a priority. And actually, it could actually end up being quite fun. I remember years ago, I did Toastmasters because I had a horrific fear of speaking. And, being a counsellor, being a coach, I was asked to speak. And I remember when I first started speaking, it was like this out-of-body experience. And I'd stand up, I'd actually start crying. It's quite sad when you think about it. And it's, the whole adrenaline would hit. My mind couldn't think. And it would be like this out-of-body, my hair's just annoying me. It'd be like this out-of-body experience. I felt almost like my heart would pop out of my chest and land on the ground in front of me, and I couldn't even think straight. So why have I talked about Toastmasters? Well, this is about enjoy each other's interests. So, credit to my ex-husband. He came along to Toastmasters and it was something that we did together. Toastmasters, for those of you who don't know, it's a place where you can go to learn to do speaking. It helped me enormously, and I no longer have that fear of public speaking. But that was an interest that we did together. He wasn't overly fussed on it, and all credit to him. He was able to come along, and that's something that we did. Another idea of ways that, to make your marriage fun again is get away together. And yes, you might go to, I'd love to get away. Well, it doesn't have to be fancy, and it doesn't have to be for a whole weekend, but I encourage you to do it on your own. I work with a number of couples who, with young children, I ask them, when did you last have time together as a couple, just the two of you? And for people with young couples, it could be years. And I get, it can be due to financial, not having a support network. That's just the way it is. However, your relationship is so important. Your marriage is so important. So getting time together, that is a big age group. That is a big, what am I trying to say? A number of couples that I would see a week are couples with young children who do not get time together alone and go on a picnic or a weekend away or go and have a dinner. So how can you make that happen? And of course, if you're still in lockdown, that's not going to be possible. But this is things to plan for the future if you're still in lockdown, which you probably are. Okay, another way to bring in some fun is realise that little things do matter. Little things like making your partner, cup of coffee. Could be, I've run you a bath. I know you've got a sore back. It could be cutting a few flowers out of the garden and putting them in a vase. Also domestic. Gosh, I hear in my room from women, if he just emptied the dishwasher, if he just did this or this, that would make such a big difference, and then I would have more room for fun. So, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, yeah, that makes a bit of sense. You know what? We are creatures of habit. However, changing behaviour. I'm a big believer in self-reflection. I think it's so important to constantly self-reflect and to go inside and to listen to what is happening for yourself and how you're feeling with this COVID-19. It's been a great opportunity to actually bring in space, slow life down, and to actually, okay, what am I feeling right now? I know my self-care has been massive through this, in that most days I'm journaling again and meditating, getting out in nature, EFT, emotional freedom technique, tapping. Love tapping. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off track. We're talking about ways to make marriage fun and realising that little things do matter. That's why I write things down, because I sort of can start chatting and realise that I have gone off track. So, the little things matter. I just want to talk a little bit more into that. It could be your daily walks together as a couple, and you actually realise how important they are. So it's recognising that. Other ways to make your marriage fun again is laugh at life. I need laughter. I can be a bit of a, what's the word? I love a laugh. I love a belly laugh. And it's so important to recognise when life's getting a little bit serious. Particularly with the work I do, I'm very present and very focused and very there when I'm working with people, but then I need to lighten it up. And so, question I would ask you is how can you bring in laughter in you and in your marriage? What's laughter? Is it, a particular board game? Is it, we're all different. It really is. I love a good comedy. There's, what's it called? 100 Humans on Netflix. Now that is really good for a bit of a laugh. It's, actually I'm going to read this out. There's a statistic that preschoolers laugh an average of 300 times a day, and and adults, they laugh an average of 17 times a day. I don't know if that's actually statistically accurate, but perhaps it is right. Little kids, they're present and they haven't got the world on their shoulders and they haven't got the burden, and they also haven't got all the baggage that us adults have got that keeps us from laughing. However, it's intentional. It's making a decision. I've got certain people in my world that when I'm with them, I know that I laugh more. Fun friends, and also certain family members. And just, asking yourself, when did you last laugh? It's, and it's also learning to laugh through life together as a couple. I bet you did when you were dating. However, now you've got into married life and it's become a bit more serious. So how can you bring some laughter in? Brainstorm it. What's fun? How can I bring laughter in? This is what this whole podcast is about, is ways to make your marriage fun again. And it's for you and your partner to start having a discussion. When I'm working with clients, the counselling is just a tiny part. Yes, it's effective if you are invested and you're willing to go there, but it's all the work that you do after it. And that's a big reason with these podcasts. A lot of people who listen to my podcasts are people who've come to me for counselling and then want to keep it going. They sit as couples and then they talk about it afterwards. I love that. I think it's fantastic. Hugely great. Okay, how are we going for time? We're nearly out of time. So a couple more ways to make marriage fun again. Keep dreaming together. When you first got together and you were dating, you would have talked about all the different dreams of the future. And it's exciting and you connect with it and talk with it a lot. And that brought in some excitement and some fun and some laughter. Okay, how can you begin doing that as a couple? If you've got any resistance to any of this, you might have a bit of crap there. Crap's not the right word. Bit of baggage, bit of wounding. And so do some work around that. Go and see a therapist, go and see me, go and see somebody else. It doesn't really matter, but clear that out, because when there's fun can't coexist. I think I just said that earlier. Fun can't coexist with anxiety or stress. So you've got to move that to then bring in fun. And then fun brings in pleasure and desire and all those beautiful things that we're all looking for in a relationship. So I'd encourage you to do this. So these are all just suggestions. I'd love to hear if you've got any suggestions of ways to make your marriage fun again. And also perhaps you weren't in a fun place and then you did certain things. What was it? Love to hear about that. But anyway, I better finish up. So look, if any of this has spoken to you, this is all in a blog. Everything I talk about I put into a blog. So just go to the 3 W's, powerofchange.com.au. Actually, also I need to mention I now have online courses. Really excited. I'm up to 6 now. There's the Change My Life Self-Empowerment course, and then there's a lot of little smaller ones. There's also a marriage tune-up. So as we get our car tuned up, I think it's really important to tune up your marriage. And I'm now working on my next course make my marriage great again. And that's going to be filled with some fantastic exercises, videos, audio, everything beautiful to make your marriage great again. And that will be coming out in a few months' time. So anyway, I'm going to finish up, and I wish you well. Make contact if you need to. I'm very contactable. Power of Change, just Google me, you will find me. And look, enjoy living, your empowered life in your empowered marriage.